Hi,
Hi,
audible
hi,
now,
how
I
are you?
think. Am I
Yes,
audible?
yes, yes. Now it's fine.
Yes, great. And I am so sorry to be troubling you on your time off.
Oh, no, no,
I
no
realize
issues.
you're home for a. So is it a semester end or
Yeah, yeah, it's a term break. Kind of, yeah, three
term
three
break?
month term, yeah.
Okay, okay. But it's supposed to be very hectic, right?
Yes. Even in the term break, I mean, you do have a lot of stuff to complete, but it's okay. It's better than the. So, like, this is probably the best time actually to talk because again, I guess I'll be busy from next week with all those things. It's a great time actually.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So without okay, just to inform you that we are recording this.
Okay,
So
cool.
and hopefully we'll be able to put it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want to reach as many people as we can because a
Right,
lot of people, including me, have gone through this process and are in the process of deciding next steps.
right.
So I think your journey, your story, your insights are
Mm-hmm.
going to be helpful for whoever else on the same path
Yes.
is deciding to do what to do next and how to plan
Right, right.
going forward. So
Cool.
thank you, Devesh, for agreeing to speak to us and sharing your journey with us. To begin with, I'd like to ask you how did you decide to take one of the world's toughest exam? Like, what was the precipitating thought, event, anything that led you to believe? Do you come from a bureaucratic family? Was that the thing? How did you decide to take the UPSC
Mhm.
CSE?
Yeah, so I'll just begin with a brief kind of an intro, so that will connect to why I moved into this.
Right.
I was born and brought up in Delhi. I graduated in electronics and communication engineering from DCE or DTU. Post that, basically I had a pre-placement offer and joined one of the leading investment banks at that time. So I worked there for about an year and a half. I always had this nagging kind of a thought that maybe I could make a greater impact at scale. And this while I really enjoyed my work, everything was great, money was also fine. I mean, the only sort of a driving factor was that this is the age where I can take that risk and try to achieve something bigger out of my life. So that purposeful thinking of doing something that impacts more people, doing something that makes you feel better about yourself and makes you think that you are utilizing your abilities. That was one factor. And the second one was, I always had a kind of a liking for reading and knowing stuff. So I've always been a sort of a reader. I've read books almost all my life. So that was one thing that I wanted to enhance my knowledge. And this was the exam where you got exposed to so many subjects, which I don't think I can ever imagine studying without having going through this exam. So yeah, those were the driving factors. Plus, I had some friends who had already either cracked the exam or were in the process. So talking to them, I felt that this was something that even I can do, and I can do a good job at this. So yeah, those were the things.
Right. So with that, you jumped into preparation. And uh, if I may ask you, how was the preparation journey like?
Mhm.
What, because I'm pretty sure, like we spoke earlier, also there must be ups, downs.
Right.
So how was your how would you describe your UPSC journey today? The preparation journey.
Uh, yeah, definitely. So there are a lot of phases in that. I began, I think, start of 16. You can say 2016. After I had kind of started violin job, but that wasn't like the proper preparation began after I actually left my job. So initially, it can be very daunting, of course, when you're made to study so many subjects, and especially being from an engineering background, so you don't really have a lot of knowledge about history, social science. I mean, all these geography, political science, everything. So that was daunting at first. Plus, I had joined classes also in Delhi itself. So going to classes, managing that work, plus studying on my own, it was very hectic. But I think that was probably like the first 4 5 months. After that, I kind of got used to it. Uh, I got used to it. It was like initially even pre seemed like a big kind of a fearful thought, if I may. initially. But then once I got a knack of it, I got good at least prelims. I was able to crack it like every year that I gave the exam with a like great margin. The biggest thing for me was main. So between pre and mains, like that time period, I was kind of so that was probably the toughest period for me. Almost always, like whenever I've given the exam, I was always at a loss. I mean, should I be studying more, or should I be solving more questions or giving more mock tests? So that was very confusing, and there was no set path that you could follow and you guaranteed to achieve success. In particular, my optional geography, I think that gave me quite a bit of trouble in all the years that I've had it. Probably because I mean it is pretty lengthy also, and there's a lot of competition that exists in that subject. So those are the issues. I mean, and once I had like I was in this mode of giving mains every year. Then the main frustrating point was that I was not able to achieve what I had intended to. So I actually gave the interview in 2018. Of course, that was a great time, and you feel good about yourself that you're at that stage where you can crack this exam. It's within your reach, so to say. uh, but when that didn't work out, I didn't clear it. So that was, I think, the lowest point. uh, Very frustrating, and a lot of mental anguish, and in general a lot of dissatisfaction. But then I kind of picked myself after that and decided to give it one more time. uh, but I was not able to actually crack the mains the next time. So that was I mean, that was the kind of the turning point where I thought it was not working out. Despite giving whatever I could, it was not working out. One, and second, I think I thought that my abilities, I could actually use it in a lot of other places. Earlier, also, I mean, I had worked at I mean, wherever I had worked, those that had given me a lot of confidence in terms of I can do something better in my life. So at that point, I thought that I'll transition and do something that makes more sense. I gave other exams also in the meantime. I was able to crack a few, and a few I got into the interview stage. So yeah, that was the point. I took up a job, and gradually I moved from there. Yeah.
So, since you mentioned you took up a job, so was that process easy? Because a lot of people, and it's very normal to have that sense कि gap years explain करना पड़ेगा, and you're going into a job without a real or a very tangible skill set.
Mm-hmm.
So, how was the like searching phase, like
Uh,
looking for a job phase?
Right. So I think here what becomes important is that you have to play to your strengths, kind of. So whatever you've done in the past, it could be your college, or it could be like a job you worked in previously. So you have to leverage that to the best of your abilities, and just be very confident about why you took that. So to, like, as it is said, a gap year or multiple gap years, you had a purpose behind that, and you have to justify your kind of back your skills by whatever you've done in the past. You just have to be a very you just have to be very confident about whatever you've done in the past. And at the same time, you have to restrict yourself from having a very narrow understanding of success and failure, that if this does not work out, it is a failure. So I always thought it's kind of a gray thing rather than a zero or one result. So that helped me, because that's more of a society enforced rule that it's a success or failure. If in your mind you believe it's a success because you've learned out of it, then it is a success. So you have to have that mindset. There will be challenges. Even I was low for weeks and months at certain points, but then you have to pick yourself up and tell yourself that this is not the end, and you can achieve results. There were other people also, because I remember, who had not done well here, but in other aspects of life were doing great. So that gave me confidence, and I was able to get back into my career.
Great. So, post the job, you are doing your MBA right now. So, how did you end up there? Like, what were the things you kept in mind while deciding to, and why did you feel the need to uh, get back to college?
Right. So my last job, I was actually a product manager at a unicorn, basically at a one of the biggest in its field. At that point, while I was kind of in a role where I was very comfortable, I was very happy. In the meantime I had got my cat results, and I just given it, I mean, just for the heck of it, without any prep, to be honest, and I got a great score there. So in my mind I was like, if I have this opportunity, I should definitely take it. Two reasons. One is to give a structured outlook to my thinking. I could be able to structure my thoughts better if I have a business degree. Second, it gives me a brand which will add a lot of value in my career. And third, I wanted to prove that I can do well academically here, despite whatever I faced, and a lot of challenges and setbacks. I wanted to prove that I'm still, as good as anybody else. So that was the driving, those were the driving factors. And at that time it was very clear, if I were to do an MBA, I'll do it only from the best, the most esteemed colleges. So I decided only to go for the ABC interviews, and I was able to crack all of them. So suppose that I decided to join IIM Bangalore because I thought it suited my abilities and my skill sets the best, and it's been a great journey so far there. So yeah, these were the factors, and it's been comfortable. In fact, whatever I've learned, whatever I've kind of the knowledge that I've acquired in my UPSC years, it's definitely come in handy. If not directly, then indirectly, it comes very handy when you're doing case studies. You have a better understanding of the context of things than a lot of people do. And plus you're used to studying more than others who were not in the process. So that also helps you. You're For example, if you're reading a case study, you know which points to look for. Sometimes a person would read the entire thing and probably won't know what is the important thing here. But as you know, as we've read a lot of material, as we've read a lot of books, so we have an idea that what are the important things that we should be targeting. So those are the factors. And yeah, it's been a good journey so far.
So I generally ask this to most people. Do you still read the Indian Express Hindu every day?
Uh, so I do try to read the Hindu whenever I'm able to find time, but definitely not in the manner that we used to, like taking 1.5 2 hours and underlining stuff or making notes and those kind of things. I'll give it a glance maybe for half an hour, and I rely more on the mobile kind of stuff in shorts or things like that, which give info quickly and save you time on the go. Uh, but that habit, I think, it has stayed with me, so I still enjoy reading at least the front page, if nothing else. So yeah, it's been
Huh.
there.
Right. Any other habits? Any other traits? So you mentioned
Hmm.
the way you read and comprehend that you've kind of carried, and that's helping you through
Right.
case studies, case comms. Any other trait or characteristic that the UPSC aspirant had that you still have carried with you through your journey right now, even at work and in B school right now? Any particular traits?
A few, I think. One is definitely perseverance. I don't give up now after a failure. So earlier I was not this person. I would get frustrated and distracted and all sorts of things when I encounter even the slightest of failures. Now, I mean, even if I get less marks in some exam, or I don't crack a particular shortlist of a company, or I don't I'm not able to manage cracking an interview, it's very okay for me. I always look forward to what I can do better the next time, and try to learn from my failure. So that is definitely one thing. Second is a very holistic understanding of stuff. Earlier, I believe that a lot of us have very narrow thinking, especially from an engineering background. Now, I think more holistically, from a social science humanities kind of a perspective, even if it's a very quantitative field, you need to have a sort of a humane approach to things. I think I've learned that humane approach to stuff, being more ethical in your everyday life, being more aware, more inquisitive, uh, those things definitely. And comprehension, so if I may add, like, this helped me even in cat. I never prepared for it, but I actually, in a previous attempt, I actually ended up getting 100 percentile in VARC, which was primarily because of whatever reading habits we had developed during this time. So it has been very helpful even to this date. I mean, if I take part in some competitions, case competitions, debates, or whatever, a lot of that knowledge comes in handy, where I am at an advantage compared to some others. Yeah.
Right. Anything that helped you in your role as a product manager? Because a lot of our viewers, readers,
Mhm.
audiences would want to know how they can, get to product management and how they can talk about what they've learned in the UPSC preparation while getting into product roles. So, any things that you've, used there extensively that you learned or picked up during your preparation?
Uh, so directly it will be less, but indirectly in terms of so product manager, a lot of it is about taking a broad perspective and a holistic approach to things. You have to bring together people and bring together people from tech or design or business together and try to formulate something that works out best for the company. So I think in that sense you have a more holistic approach of things, where you think not just it. For example, a tech person may not be able to understand business or the design aspects as well. It gives you more structured thinking, perhaps, that you're able to appreciate the nuances. And of course, like, product management does require some research and some reading, and like you have to understand what other products exist, or how to learn the best from other companies. So in terms of that also, I think you have better comprehension skills. You have better knowledge at times. Those kind of things definitely help. Then as a product manager, you even have to document stuff. You have to write documents, PRDs, or roadmaps. So those, even in those kind of things, if you've read a lot, you have a sort of thinking, and you have that ability to be able to structure that information well. So in those terms it helps, but then I'll also add that your previous experiences will also matter here. I had a software engineering experience in the past, so that definitely helped me get into product management, because I had, even though it had been a lot of time since I had been into that, but that knowledge and or that information that still existed in my mind. So that helped, but definitely this experience came in handy. Perhaps the companies won't appreciate it initially, like when you give an interview, but when you actually start working, in a few months they'll realize that you have a lot more perseverance and hardworking capabilities than other people. So I'll suggest, like, even if somebody gives you an internship, or doesn't offer you a great amount of sum monetarily, you should still take up that opportunity and try to not just learn the skills, but to prove to the employer that you are a great asset. So that would be my suggestion, that try to learn these things. So I did actually take up even online courses at that time. I saw a lot of YouTube videos. How do you approach such problems? How do you formulate solutions? So those kind of things, I think, a candidate should be doing, if he wants to, if he or she wants to get into this sort of role.
Right. So those are very handy tips, and thank you for that. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of takeaways for people from that. Uh, Coming to how you see your career now, like what are do you still think of impact at scale in the same manner that you did earlier? Is that one of the criteria you're looking at while deciding where to right now in B school, while deciding where to sort of put your eggs? Is that still impact at scale is still what you're looking for in your career?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that that I think will stay with me, as long as I continue to work. So that is one important criteria. And the only change is that now my definition of impacted work is very different. It doesn't only have to be working directly with the government. Even if you create a great product, for example, you have Uber, or you have Flipkart or Amazon or anything, they are creating great impact at scale. They're enabling people access to everyday things so easily, seamlessly. So that is impact at scale now for me. The only thing is, yeah, from my understanding, I have learned to become more humane and more rational, more ethical in my approach. So that will enable me to be at an edge, uh, uh, when designing or when formulating solutions to problems. So definitely that remains to be a criteria. But yeah, not directly working with the government or an NGO. It can be from a lot of things. So you can be working at a bank or a consulting company, or at a product IT company, anywhere. But you can still create that impact. You just have to be aware of what avenues exist for doing that. Yeah.
Uh, so any particular things that you have learned from your journey that you want to tell aspirants today? Okay, so can you sort of give us two sets of advice? One for those who are probably getting into preparation, and one set of advice for those who are looking to maybe get out of it or at least create a tangible plan B. So, what
Okay.
sort of like advice will you give to these two groups of people?
Right. So those who are getting into prep, like maybe just starting or having started in, like, say, last 6 months, 1 year. So what I would suggest is that the first leg of your preparation, like the first 6 months, first 12 months, are very crucial, and this is the time where you'll have to invest your maximum effort to grasp, basic knowledge, to cover your optional ones, to practice prelims questions, to start some answer writing. So I would suggest that in this 1 year, 6 months period, stay away from distractions, because there are a lot in this day and age. Social media, and a lot of things are there. At least in this initial period, try to be very focused, because if you lose the first 1 year, it becomes very difficult to bounce back. Because this is a period where you build your basic knowledge, learn the subjects, initially learning the subject, doing your optional for the first time. So I would suggest make the best use of this time. So from an example, this helped me. I had a good understanding of the basics, because I had worked a lot in the initial period. So this helped me crack the prelims every time with a very comfortable margin. So that will definitely be there. And if you're comfortable that you'll crack prelims every year, then you'll have a lot more time to do your optional, to study mains, to practice answers. So that is something that I would suggest. uh, and definitely choose your optional wisely. Do it very well. Take the best resources, no matter what institute or teacher. If a particular teacher teaches one aspect of the subject well, choose him or her. And if some other teacher is there for other aspects, take those notes. So have a very kind of a holistic understanding of the subject in the initial period. That will help. And now for people like,
If I can
sure.
interrupt you here, when starting preparation, did you have an upper limit to the number of attempts you'll take? Like, did you have some sort of idea कि इतने attempts के बाद I'm not going to do it if it doesn't happen by chance?
So initially I had thought of two attempts, but then that is more of a thought that you have at that time. The problem with UPSC prep is that once you crack prelims or once you crack mains, it is very difficult to get out, because every single attempt you think that you're going to do better than the last time. So yeah, that is kind of some kind of a bias that exists in our mind, that if we've achieved, let's say 80 the last year, this year we're going to do 90. But sadly, in this exam, it does not work. Does not always work. It works for a lot of people. For me, didn't really work that if I crack mains one time, I'll crack it next time. Didn't happen for me. So I think that is the problem. Initially, I thought two attempts. Then I thought, okay, I'll give one more. Then actually, in the third attempt, going to the interview, then it was very difficult for me to, just give it up and think I'll do something else. I'd already reached the interview, so it was a point I thought, if I give little more effort, I'll make it. So that tends to happen. So again, I think it depends on a person's situation. If he or she feels that he can do it, then
Would you
give it.
suggest? Would you suggest to have like a इतना इतना ही करो उसके बाद नहीं?
I would say that after two or three attempts, have some sort of a plan B. Try to either give some other exam, crack it for example, I had cracked this NABARD exam, the final thing, but I eventually didn't go for it. I decided to go for an MBA. So have some backup option. Give whatever suits you, state exams or SSC exams or engineering exams, RBI, SEBI, whatever suits a person. Try to give that, or if you have good skills, if you have inclination for the private sector, if you want to do some social sort of a work, look for those avenues, look for NGOs, consulting, public sector consulting companies, uh, look for think tanks. I have friends working in think tanks also. I have friends working in coaching institutes also. I have friends as faculties also now. So after 2 3 attempts, identify your position. If you're comfortable preparing along with something, then definitely take that up, because the sort of the challenge that a person faces after 3 4 attempts is that the marginal returns are kind of low, because you don't know how much effort to put in, to get better results. So that kind of happens. There's no upper limit, but then after a point you should identify other plans,
Hmm.
definitely.
Hmm. Right. So sorry, I interrupted you. Coming to what you would like to say to people who are at the cusp of moving on, like they're,
Okay.
like you said, not they're still not sure, and or there are people who have decided to move on. So any sort of tips or guidelines that you'd like them to have keep in mind as they move on to other avenues, maybe back to college or in the work world.
Right. Right. So I think the first thing is that identifying where you stand with respect to the exam. Have you exhausted all your sort of ability, exhaust not your abilities, exhausted all your efforts, kind of you've given your maximum and
Hmm.
still you think that it's not working out? Because the problem oftentimes is not with you as a person. It is just the nature of the exam. Just perhaps you are not, your skill sets are not more suited to that exam. It is more suited to some other exam or to some other aspect of life. So
Hmm.
identify that if it's not working out, and you can see it very clearly, and you're also at a place where you don't think you can you can work harder, or you think that it's probably, after talking to other aspirants, after talking to people who have actually cleared the exam, if you think that it seems like a great thing, but perhaps there are better things than this, if you invest your time, then I think you should move out, definitely. uh, if those kind of things exist. Secondly, if you need some sort of a financial independence, if those difficulties are there, definitely you should think about, if not completely moving out of the preparation, then getting something else in hand, maybe even a coaching industry type of a job, which enables you to prepare along with your work, and even helps you in the prep, to be honest. So look for those avenues. Those will help you identify. And then people who've decided that definitely you have to move out, then at that point you have to select what works best for you. Are you, for example, if someone has a good sort of a software or a coding background, with some few months of prep, he or she can easily move back into IT sector. There is a lot of value for good talent there. So if you have that sort of an experience, definitely move back, try to move back. Now where where sort of the good thing about this is that if you have a good network, and if you know friends who are in the industry, if you demonstrate your skill sets, the people will definitely help you out. So try to have those connects, friends who can refer you for interviews, or those kind of things. Second, people who do not think, or do not really have some skill sets that could directly be beneficial for a job. uh, Again, multiple things can be there. Either you develop those skill sets, do online courses, then try to start at a lower level, learn while on the job. uh, that can be one. Second, if you feel that that is a more cumbersome prospect, and it will take you 1 2 3 years to get at a good level, then you can think about doing further education, MBA, MS, MTech, whatever suits your abilities. go into research. People uh, go into even becoming professors after this. So those kind of things. Third option can be if you decide to move out of the exam. There are other exams. Uh, you know, stuff like RBI is a very very coveted job. This SEBI regulatory job is very coveted job. Then you have state exams are really highly valued, and nowadays they're happening regularly as well. For example, in UP, it's been very good, the process in the last few years. So yeah, these are the options that you have. Do you want to move into the private sector? Do you want to do something in the government sector? Do you want to social media, social sector, or become a faculty coaching? So there are a lot of options. I mean, there are too many possibilities
Hmm.
honestly there. So the problem is not getting into an opportunity, it's more about selecting which works out best for you.
Right.
When you decide to move on, you sometimes feel that there are no opportunities left. I wasted like 3 years of my life, 4 years of my life. There's nothing left for me. That is never the case. You just have to open up the internet. You think people are becoming social media influencers. People are starting their own startups. Uh, they're teaching. They're doing impact. There are too many possibilities in this world. You just have to open
Hmm.
your eyes, put that behind you, whatever you've done in the civil services,
Hmm.
and you'll see infinite possibilities, even in terms of starting your own business. I know people who started their own business as well after this. So yeah, there are a lot of opportunities, I'll just say.
That's a very hopeful note.
Right.
The fact that there are so many opportunities. But there were a couple of questions that struck me when you were answering this.
Mhm.
So one was is that when the results are out today, like now, does do you have any reaction to it? Like I'm pretty sure that opening that PDF one time would have had would have some impact on you. Does it still have the same sort of impact? Do you still when people are talking about UPSC ka result aaya, what does it do to you?
uh, I mean, when I was in prep stage, definitely it had a lot of impact. I would see, okay, this person qualified, this person did not, whatever. Those kind of things. It would evoke a lot of emotions if I did not make it or if I made it, as the case may be. Now, honestly, I'm not even aware when the exam is happening, or what is there in the prelims, if there've been any changes or things. Maybe if someone tells me, okay, result hai, so I'll check it, but it will be I'll be kind of very indifferent to whatever the result may be. And I think that is how it works actually in society. So when we're in the prep phase, we feel that this is everything, and this is you know everyone is looking for this result. When this result will out, people will just look for who has scored rank one and whatever. But it's not, that is not actually the case. Now, having moved into the industry, or to MBA, I have actually realized that not a lot of people actually care that much. It's great if you get a rank, and if you are able to achieve what you had hoped for. But then now I'll look at it very, without any sort of emotional attachment. I think if some friend
Hmm.
makes it, I'll be happy for him or her. But yeah, that will be about it. So and I think people will realize that if and when they decide to move out of this
Hmm.
preparation phase, that there are far more important things to care for,
Hmm.
uh, or to do, than just opening the PDF and seeing who has qualified, who has not. That's a great thing, like people qualify, but then there are things beyond that as well. So yeah.
Hmm. So some sort of emotional detachment is what you have achieved right now with respect to the result phase, at least.
Yeah, I won't say achieved. It's more of a kind of a transition or a development. It just happened. I never realized it.
Uh, okay.
So yeah, I think that will happen.
But it's a good
As
place to be in, right?
yeah, I guess. I mean, even that was a fun thing to do, opening up the result. But yeah, this is also a good thing. It's just that it's the phase of my life where that does not impact me directly as much as it used to. So
Hmm.
that happens in life. If a thing does not directly impact you, then you kind of are not emotionally invested in that. So I think that
Hmm.
is the case. And as years pass by, I think even more detachment would happen. definitely.
Right, right. So, okay, something a little bit more practical. Since you are in B school, and I'm pretty sure you've done a lot of those CV sessions and make like doing up your CV, etc. Any any tips to people about how you can explain your gap years, the different ways and things that potential employers are looking for in your CV? Anything you've picked up through your journey so far at B school?
Right. So here, I think the foremost thing is that you have to be honest at all times. Don't try to don't try to cook up stuff that you've not done. Try to be, even in my B school interviews. So this is a question that often came up, that you have such a long gap year, you have so many gap years, or you have you are aged higher than a lot of people. This was asked inevitably, I think, in all three of these B school interviews that I appeared for.
Hmm.
But then once you explain that this is what I had done during those gap years, and this is how it helped me get to the place where I am right now. I am at a place where I can sit in this interview, so I would have done something good in that, in that whatever I've done.
Hmm.
And then you have to convince that person that why you are at an edge compared to other people who have not gone through this process. How, as a student, I can add value to my class, to group discussions, how I can teach them from my experience. So those kind of things you have to convince either the employer or the admission committee, as the case may be.
Hmm.
Then the second thing about the CV that you mentioned, I think you have to always highlight your strong points. You have to be confident about your strong points. If you've done, if you have a good score in school, or you are from a reputed college, you've done some work experience in the past which was good. I mean, which was impactful. Try to focus on those aspects. Bring them forth in your CV. Try to quantify stuff. Example, you've done a job, try to quantify how many people it affected, what percentage efficiency change you brought, what percentage cost cut it brought about. Those kind of things try to emphasize in your CV always. First, of course, be confident, be honest, to do all these things. Do not dwell on what did not work for you. uh, a lot of it is psychological, is what I have come to believe. Some companies do look for gap years, do I mean, kind of filter out based on that criteria, but I think most of them are fairly open. They just want somebody who is confident, who has the attitude to learn, to improve himself, herself. Those are criteria far more important, especially in today's day and age, than gap years. I don't think they matter that much as people have come to believe they do. They do for some companies. Maybe they have a strict criteria, they won't hire you, but then those are not the only companies in the world. uh, some of the best companies are still going to hire you for your skills and for your attitude. Even more than skills, I think it is the attitude is the single most important thing that will drive all sorts of success in your life. You have to be confident that you can still do as good as anybody else at that company. You can prove your worth. Uh, yeah, I mean, at a practical level, this translates into being confident in the interview. This translates into quantifying your achievements, focusing on your strengths, not dwelling on your past failures. So this is all I focused on. I always tried to convince the interviewer that uh, these are the things I've learned in the process, and these things you may find better hard skills than me, better coding skills, maybe better whatever design skills than me, but you won't find these soft skills in anybody that you are interviewing today. You won't find this kind of perseverance, this kind of hard work, this kind of holistic approach to things. Focus on that USP, and that will always lead to success.
Right. Thank you for that. I think we're going to use a lot of it. Uh, Anything else to conclude with that you want to say to this whole aspirant community and just in general about UPSC or the exam or the process? Anything to conclude with that you want, your parting thoughts?
I think kind of a continuation of whatever we've discussed so far. Whatever phase of preparation you are in, do your best. If you are starting out, learn the basics to the best of your capability. If you've given one or two attempts, try to fine tune on whatever you've been doing. Try to rectify your mistakes. If you're at a point where you're deciding whether to go or not, do that to the best of your abilities. Utilize the network around you. Try to talk to people outside this world also, because a lot of times they are constrained by this worldview of things. Talk to people, you'll realize that there are other opportunities also that exist. Sometimes better is very subjective, of course. It may seem better to you. Always be very open, receptive, and one more thing is, uh, you know stay connected with your friends and your family. Always, never become completely detached from them, because they are the people who will be with you when you're at your lowest. It has happened with me also. There will be mental challenges, issues. Have friends you can talk to, have mentors you can talk to, and your family, your parents, your siblings, whoever uh, you hold dearest to yourself, never let them drift apart. That will be your that will be your pillar of strength, no matter what you do in life. So yeah, I think that would be my concluding remark.
Right. That indeed summarized the whole session, so to speak. But thank you so much for your time, words, thoughts, and for sharing valuable insights. I'm pretty sure it's going to be extremely helpful for all sets of people, whether they are deciding to move on or whether they are still in the process and maybe trying to develop plan B. Thank you. And we'd love to stay in touch because a lot of our community members can benefit from your guidance. So, thank you so much for your time, and we wish you all the luck in the coming days, placement season, all that is to come at B School. Uh, Good luck. Thank you so much for your time, words, all of that,
Thanks. Yeah,
and
thank you so
speaking
much.
and sharing your story so candidly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to say that thanks a lot, Jeel, to you, to Sargam, and to your entire team. So I discovered this platform last year. Yeah, I think last year only, and I was very kind of impressed by the things that you're doing, and trying to help people who are in sort of a dilemma or have moved out looking for opportunities. So that was, I think, a great sort of a noble deed that you guys have been doing. And I just wish you, both of you and your entire team, a lot of luck, a lot of best wishes in achieving your all your goals. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And
Have a great
thank you for making time to speak to us today.
sure.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.